America watched our next guest grow up on TV. TLC's hit shows 19 Kids and Counting On introduced us to the Duggar family and showed us their conservative Christian values. Today, Jinger Duggar Vuolo is sharing her journey of stepping away from the strict Christian teachings from her childhood. She's laying it all out in her new book, Becoming Free Indeed. Please welcome to the show, Jinger. Jinger, thank you so much for joining us.
Jinger, thank you so much for being here. I want you to have the floor and explain the theology you were raised to abide by growing up.
Yeah, the teachings I was raised in, we followed a teacher named Bill Gothard, and he taught us a lot of things. He basically would say, if you followed his teaching, your life would be a success, and if you didn't, then your life would be one disaster after another. So he would lay out a lot of rules that you had to do. Courtship was one, and how to go about relationships, or modesty standards, no drums, things like that.
Wow, no drums.
So you were just talking about the life principles here that Bill taught you. How did they affect you and your family over the years?
It produced in me a lot of fear. I was a very fearful person because of it. I thought that if I stepped outside of this box, that God was waiting to get me at any turn. And so for me as a young kid, I remember one time I was in a car where somebody turned on drums in the car, and I was like freaking out thinking, I'm going to die in a car accident, because Bill Gothard shared a story of a young man who died in a car accident because he was listening to drums. So I would freak out like that, thinking, okay, I have violated one of God's principles, and now I'm opening myself up to Satan's attacks.
Okay, well, I have to ask you, what were the 7 basic principles that you and your family followed, like what that kind of kept you in this lane?
Yeah, the principles, a lot of them, they were based just in Bill Gothard's, what he thought was right. So that was design, responsibility, success, authority, and oh man, I got them all mixed backwards. But basically, though, he would freedom, responsibility. Those were a few more. But he would say that if we were living under those principles, those 7 basic principles, then there was an umbrella of protection over us. And the second we step out of line, then that's when our life can start to fall apart and be destroyed.
So with all this fear-based ideology, what led you to really question the rules that were based in these practices that you were raised on?
It was so hard for me to even question it, because it was very cult-like in nature. And we were in such a tight-knit community, and stepping outside of that and even writing this book was something that I had thought about doing many years before. But I just couldn't bring myself to write it because it was so difficult to do. And I was afraid I would lose my community that I grew up with.
I can't
I mean,
imagine.
I think that's part of the way that they keep people. It's like if you leave the church, you leave everything you know.
Your safety net.
Everybody.
That's why it's like the bravery to get out of that is so overwhelmingly large. Huge.
I want our viewers to stay with us, because after the break, we're going to continue our conversation with Jinger, talk to her about how her honesty in her book is affecting relationships with her family today. For years, millions of Americans tuned in to watch the Duggar family navigate their conservative Christian life. Now, one of their daughters is getting honest about her faith and unique upbringing. We are continuing our conversation with Jinger Duggar Vuolo about her new book, Becoming Free Indeed. So much to talk to you about.
Yeah, and I love the title, Becoming Free Indeed. Jinger, before releasing this book, were you worried? I'd be very concerned about the relationships you might lose for publicly criticizing these teachings.
I definitely was worried because of the tight-knit community. It's something that is so hard to speak out on, and I wanted to be able to write my words in a way that would be clear and hopefully help others to come out of this teaching.
Wow. Jinger, I'm curious, has your family read your book, and has it changed your relationship with any of them specifically?
It's interesting. Different ones of my siblings and my parents have responded differently. Some of them are still in the teaching, while others would totally say they're out of it. And so that's been an interesting time, just like talking through those differences. And so I think at some point, different ones will just agree to disagree. And I know that they just want what's best for me. so we can just move forward. But I'm grateful for their responses so far. A lot of them have been supportive, while others may still be in the system.
So your family was on TV for many years. So do you think the shows influenced more people to follow Gothard's teaching? And if so, how do you feel about that?
I would say that the show definitely influenced a lot of people to get into Bill Gothard's teaching with IBLP. That's something that we pushed, going to family conferences with IBLP. So a lot of families had joined because of my family. And that kind of breaks my heart at some point, seeing how I know even for me, I was such a devout follower. I wanted people to join. And now looking back, that's another reason why I want to write this book, is to say that I had promoted these teachings for so many years, and now this is a correction, coming back and saying, don't follow these teachings. They're so harmful.
Yeah, I think, why
Great.
people are gravitating towards your book is because you aren't afraid to address those controversial topics. In fact, in your book, you also talk about Josh, your brother Josh, who is in prison for child pornography charges. You say you haven't seen him, talked to him for nearly 2 years, but you do still pray for him. That's what you said in your book. What do you pray for him, and have you forgiven him?
Yeah, it's hard to talk about all of that, but I do pray for my brother. But I first will say I'm grateful for the justice system. I'm grateful that justice is being served, and my heart breaks for the victims and their families. And they're the ones that I pray for first. And I would pray for Josh that he would truly be broken over his sin, and that he would see that he was, that he cannot change himself. Because I think you can, in the system, what I talk about in the book is putting up these outward rules and saying you're okay. That's not enough. True transformation will only come from the inside out, and that's a work that only God can do. And so I just would hope that one day he would truly change.
That's a brave human being, my friend.
I hope it's not lost on our audience, like the amount of courage that it takes
To go against your family?
to speak about the situation with your brother, which obviously is gross and sad, but you're addressing it. You don't have to, but you are.
Yeah.
And I just want to let you know, on behalf of us as a panel, I wasn't sure how forthcoming you were going to be in this interview. And quite frankly, I'm really blown away, because you really are taking a risk and losing everything in terms of your relationships, your past, how you view who you are as a person. And it took a lot of courage for you to do this. And I'm really impressed by you. And I wish you luck in your journey.
She's tearing up.
Thank you.
I hope we see you. That's
Yes,
really
we do.
impressive.
Ginger, thank you so much for
Thank you so
sharing.
much.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. To our viewers, you can get Ginger's book, Becoming Free Indeed, My Story of Disentangling Faith from Fear. You can get her book wherever books are sold. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Ginger.
No, we're all
Thank you.
crying.
Thank
Oh
you.
my God.